Okay, well, I will just automatically chop that first 10 minutes off of this.
So I had started recording because you were cranking the desk. So I started recording so I could say the line, Nathan is cranking it on camera.
You're the worst.
Welcome to Talk About Tatooine. I'm Andrew.
I'm Nathan.
And we're twin brothers here to bring you what's new in nerddom and give colorful commentary on our favorite subjects. Welcome to our cantina. Grab a drink and settle in as we set course for realities beyond our own.
Welcome to episode 60, everybody. Today's recording date is January 27th, and this episode will be released on Monday, February 12th. Today, we're going to be discussing What If? But first, let's begin with our starter questions. Also, stick around to the end. We might have some more nerddom news for you in the meantime. Andrew, go ahead and hit us with your opening question.
So this is a surprise question that I wanted to talk about, and I just recently added it today, is, in your opinion, is What If canon?
No, but it would take one person. Is it Dave Filoni? No, he's Star Wars, right? Who's the head content manager for the MCU?
It's the guy with the hat, the guy with the baseball hat.
I thought that was Filoni.
Filoni wears a cowboy hat.
Oh, no, I know who you're talking about. Gosh, what is his name? It would basically just take him saying, hey, what if is canon? Because all of these happen on different worlds. It's part of the DC multiverse. So yes, it could be canon very easily. Is it canon right now? No, it's not.
I have a different opinion.
Okay, let's hear it.
I think What If absolutely is canon, being that it exists in the Marvel continuity. And I say this and I have one kind of specific example of why I think this is canon. And it specifically comes out of Multiverse of Madness when we see Captain Carter live action. And I think she's kind of the key to all of this.
You're right. That is an excellent point. I forgot about that one.
I mean, she dies kind of brutally, but we don't know where she is at in her journey. Like, if the What If timeline is before the events of Multiverse of Madness, it would kind of make sense that through all of her experiences hopping through time that she would be a member of the Illuminati, and then is killed by Scarlet Witch, which totally sucks. But
yeah. All right, before we get into our main discussion here, guys, huge thanks to our patrons, Mike, Isaac, and David. You guys are the reason we do this, and we would love to see some more patrons as well, because that way we can do more giveaways, game servers, and higher quality content here, guys, for just $5 a month, less than a cup of bougie coffee. You guys can support us here at Talk About Tatooine so we can do more of all of those awesome things that I just previously mentioned. So don't forget those things. Keep those things on the front of your brain, because we really want to do all those fun things, but we do need your support. Thank you everyone for watching, and from the bottoms of our heart, we really appreciate it. With all that, let's get into the show. We are going to be talking about Marvel What If. So for some reason you guys haven't watched this yet, there will be moderate spoilers in this, but also the titles of most of the episodes are spoilers in themselves. So keep that in mind. But we're going to be talking about seasons 1 and 2 of What If. Let's get right into it.
Something I want to do as we talk is I'm actually going to keep track of our scores of these episodes, and I'll give an average ranking. So at the very end, we'll be able to go through saying, based on what we have done, this is our official ranking. Nathan, do you want to start us? What did you give the worst episode? So, sorry, let's back up a little bit. Let's give our ranking and just a quick, did you actually like it or not? Kind of summary. Because there are some episodes where I'm like, this is one I actually really enjoyed rewatching, or this is one that I felt like more was nerd homework.
All right, so my ranking for number 18, so the worst episode of the What If, was Nebula Joined the Nova Corps. I did not like this episode. I thought it was very boring. I just didn't really like what they did with the episode. It just seemed kind of off, kind of just out there, and didn't quite start the second season off on a good foot.
I definitely felt like that episode was nerd homework. I didn't really like it. I didn't really care. Also, the fact that they were able to destroy Ronan's ship just by opening the shield and then immediately closing it on him. They could have done that at any point. Like I mean, probably part of it was like Ronan, because he thought he had a man on the inside, or I should say a woman on the inside, to say, okay, they're not going to close the shield on us. It kind of didn't really make sense. I'm like, they could have done that a while ago. They could have just been like, okay, we surrender, open the shield, and then immediately close it on him again. For so my rank 18, I really did not like the Christmas episode. This is What If Happy Hogan Saved Christmas. It's the third episode in season 2. I really didn't enjoy it. And I know like the whole joke was like, it's Die Hard. I don't really like Die Hard that much, which is probably going to get me crucified just a little bit, but I didn't like it.
That is fair. That is fair. Moving on to rank 17. Andrew, what did you give in your 17 spot?
I put Thor, What If Thor Were an Only Child? This is definitely an episode where it's just like, oh, it's just hijinks and we're gonna break the rules, and oh, we're gonna try to clean everything up before the parents come back. I mean, I don't know how many movies we watched as kids where that was the exact plot line. I hated all of them.
Yeah, it's not good.
I'm like, it's so boring. And the only reason I rewatched it was because of this ranking. And I knew immediately, I was like, this is going pretty close to the bottom. And again, in our last episode of our Echo Review Part 2, we talked a lot about how characters who are affected by Infinity Stones, like their power level is all over the place. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I'm like, why is Thor able to stand up against Captain Marvel at all? She should be able to just demolish him. And they just drag it out. I'm just like, I don't care. I don't care. So I ranked it at 17.
You got it. So my rank 17 is actually your rank 18. So very, very similar, is Happy Hogan Saves Christmas. I just genuinely didn't like it. And this is as somebody who considers himself a Christmas elf and likes most things that are Christmas themed. But after going through and watching everything the first time and then rewatching it the second time for the rating, I knew I was not going to enjoy rewatching this. And so I was like, it's got to be low. I'm treating this as kind of like a gut check. If you guys are familiar with the mythical format of gut checks, and it's one of my favorites actually from Mythical Entertainment. And basically, if you get the gut feeling that you're like, hey, I don't like this, then bam, you stick with that feeling. And I didn't like it, so it got the 17 from me.
Yeah. As a side note, that's how I felt about watching The Force Awakens in theaters.
That's fair. All right, moving on to our rank 16. We actually agreed on this one. Andrew, go ahead and tell us our thoughts on rank 16.
So I put Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes. I just didn't care about this storyline very much. Nothing about it was interesting. It was like, wait, so Ego kind of made his own little child slave to enslave worlds, but now that he's on Earth, he's like, oh, actually, maybe what I'm doing isn't such a great idea. I feel like you should have figured that out sooner than you did.
Maybe a couple planets previously.
Yeah, maybe a couple planets previously. It's pretty low rewatchability in my opinion. I even in rewatching all of What If season 1 and 2, which is a lot of TV to get through for a person who doesn't actually watch all that much TV. Like we talk about ratings and we talk a lot about like TV shows and movies, but I'm not doing like a lot of other TV watching outside of stuff for the podcast. I do a lot of double dipping as far as, if I'm going to watch something for fun, it's probably also going to be sort of podcast homework at the same time because my TV time is relatively limited. So rank 16, we both agreed on that one.
Yeah, I gave this a rank 16 as well. And I do want to point out my worst 3 episodes are episodes all from season 2, episodes 1, 3, and 2, respectively. So 201, 203, 202. I thought season 2 started off horribly. I was very disappointed going through these and just did not enjoy the first 3 episodes. So those are my 3 worst ranked episodes. We get into rank 15, and I actually agree on the level of which that we did not like episode 107 where Thor was an only child. You rated this 17. I'm rating this a 15, but again, only just slightly better than some of the other episodes just because I thought they didn't start super strong, but I have no desire to rewatch this episode. It's that 90s like, hey, we broke the house and we have to fix everything before the parents get home, and that is
It's
a
hijinks.
stupid story, and I just did not like it. So I gave it a rank 15.
Yeah, if a story can be solved like preemptively and just like, hey, maybe just like don't break the rules as a rule follower, like literally my entire job is aerospace quality assurance, which there's been a lot of bad quality and bad press for aerospace at the moment. I mean, not from the company I work for; it's all from Boeing. So,
Whew.
yeah, I'm like, whoo. I'm like, we don't build the doors, thankfully. Actually, I don't work on a lot of stuff that's flight critical, which makes me sleep better at night, knowing that if I like, I'm not the quality engineer who signed off on that door construction. Anyway, that was a total diatribe. Let's see, we're on rank 15. This might surprise you a little bit because in season 1, like the last couple episodes like are the best. Well, I should in season 1 it starts off super strong and ends super strong, and it's the middle that struggles in my opinion. But in season 2 it was kind of all over the place, and I actually rated at rank 15 what if the Avengers assembled in 1602. I just, and it's this gut check. I have a hard time kind of articulating why I didn't enjoy it, but it just didn't capture my attention. And maybe that has something to do with my lack of attention span as a person who's grown up with digital media everywhere. I don't know. That's not really why we're here, is to dive into my psyche. But my gut check said I didn't really enjoy that episode all that much. I didn't really like the twist at the end. I was like, what? That doesn't, what? Why? Kind of bothered me.
Coming up next, we have rank 14. So, Andrew, go ahead and hit us with what you ranked for rank 14.
What if Nebula joined the Nova Corps? It was a boring episode. I didn't really care. And I love Jude Law, first off. I don't actually know if he voiced his character of Jan Rog, whatever dumb Kree character he is. I had no interest in this. I was like, I'm like, I get that they're trying to do like a mystery noir thing. Maybe leave that to the writers of Batman.
You're like, yeah, stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane.
I mean, overall, that's going to get a pretty similar average score from the two of us. For rank 14, I put The Watcher Broke His Oath in 109. Actually, as we mentioned in the episode previous to this, it bothers both of us when you get these perfectly omniscient creatures who are theoretically infinitely powerful, and it just, his whole power scaling felt weird because the idea of the Watcher is he is omniscient. He sees everything, understands everything, has seen the outcomes of millions of universes, and can theoretically intervene whenever he wants, but he chooses not to. So they're doing a what if on the narrator of the what if. It felt way too meta for me, and again, the power scaling's all broken. I did not like this episode, so I put it at 14. Coming up next, we've got rank 13. Andrew, go ahead and hit us with your rank 13.
So this is an episode that I didn't necessarily hate, but I just thought was maybe a little bit less entertaining. And that's kind of where I'm getting into in the rankings. Rank 18 through 14, I was like, I actually didn't like these episodes and I thought they were boring. 13 through TBD is like, these were enjoyable, but they weren't my absolute favorites. So I put at rank 13 is season 2, episode 7, Hela Found the 10 Rings.
All right.
I really liked Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I think the Ten Rings organization is really interesting. And I liked it enough to put it kind of in that mid-tier category, but Hela's involvement in it was less than what I would have liked because I don't think she actually gets the use of the 10 rings.
No, and that was misleading about the episode title, so I will give you that.
Misleading.
But she didn't find that she found the 10 rings as an organization. She did not physically find the 10 rings as the specific objects. So
which is what I thought they were going for.
that is what I thought they were going for as well. But no, it's the 10 rings as the organization.
It should have been Hela joined the 10 rings.
Yes, that would have been much more clear, for sure.
Yes.
I do agree with that. For rank 13, I put the episode Strange Lost His Heart instead of his hands, where he becomes Strange Supreme and starts like sucking up demons and stuff. I wasn't super. That is actually the part of Doctor Strange. That's the part of the movie I don't like, where he's like doing his soul searching and things, because it's a very overplayed redemption arc where he like learns these mystical skills and like I don't know. I just didn't like it that much. And I don't find Strange Supreme to be that compelling. And so I was like, this is kind of middle of the road. However, I did credit this with having large implications on the What If universe and the MCU in general.
Yes.
So
yes,
this does have a lot to do. So that's why I rated it a little bit higher at 13 instead of super low.
So the Watcher refers to the death of Christine in that universe as like an absolute point in time, but it almost seems like Strange Supreme is a nexus being similar to the Scarlet Witch, where where his ability to affect the multiverse at large is critical to the foundation and destruction of many universes.
Yeah.
But again, it's mostly about his soul searching and him being kind of destroyed emotionally and mentally by the death of Christine. Like it just tears him apart, and he basically like rips his own heart to shreds, having to witness her death over and over and over again. Like I can't imagine that got any easier.
Yeah, it just seems kind of self-inflicted.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you kind of brought this upon yourself. So I have a hard time feeling. Yeah. So I kind of feel I have a hard time empathizing with him, because everyone goes through loss at one point in their life. And he just really didn't handle it as how anyone else would have handled it. He's like, I'm actually going to become an omniscient, powerful being of universe creating and destroying power, and I'm not going to be able to do anything about it.
How about what if Doctor Strange went to therapy? Go to therapy, people. It's good. It's very good.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on to our rank 12. Andrew, go ahead and hit us with your 12th rank.
So again, this is an episode that I liked. It is Tony Stark crashed into the Grandmaster. This is the 4th episode in season 2. The death race kind of theme is fun for me. I had big pod racer energy out of this episode.
Oh yeah, I see that.
It definitely hit some chords for me. Not in the top 10, but worth mentioning at rank 12.
For my 12th rank, I actually did like this episode as well. We're starting to get to the point where all of these episodes I actually enjoyed quite a bit, but now it's like rating of how much you liked each one in comparison to each other. So for rank number 12, I put episode 103, The World Loses Its Mightiest Heroes. Yep. And this is what I felt like was a really good example of what the What If series was here for, was to contemplate those questions of like, hey, what if the like timeline here took a complete U-turn, and what if something completely opposite happened? What would happen next? And I really liked that. I thought it was very creative, and you get to see everyone kind of work on their heels a little bit. So I really enjoyed it. So for rank 12, How the World Lost Its Mightiest Heroes was a good spot for me. For rank number 11 coming up, this is another one me and you actually totally agreed on. Yeah. I really liked this episode. And again, anytime we see T'Challa show up, I'm like, man, it just kind of gets me in the feels a little bit. And this is episode 102, T'Challa became Star-Lord. And you really get to see his influence on the organization that he has on the Ravagers instead of Peter Quill. So I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was a fun one. It wasn't the most like intense plot ever, so that's why I kind of put it at 11, but it was still a good episode.
And I think the part that like actually really tore at my heart is Chadwick Boseman does voice Black Panther in these episodes. And I think this is actually the last time we hear his voice in the MCU. I must be having an allergic reaction to something because my eyes are watering up a little bit. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. You were missed, and your character was amazing.
He was great. Coming up next, we have rank number 10. Andrew, hit us with yours.
I ranked this one, I think, significantly higher than you did. So for rank 10, I put Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands. Watching Doctor Strange agonize over the death of Christine and basically drive himself insane, I found pretty compelling, and I ended up putting it in the top 10.
For my number 10, I put Kaori reshaped the world. And she is another being that is essentially fueled by an infinity stone. So that's very, very important to know. The sacred lake becomes basically saturated with the power of the Tesseract, which I thought was super, super cool. I think one problem that like really lost me, and this is me just being an uncultured like white boy, is almost the entire episode is in a different language. I think actually the entire episode is in a different language. And that was really hard because I was like, okay, now I'm like stuck to the subtitles. So I'm like reading and then I'm like trying to see what's happening at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And that I had to watch it twice to kind of fully understand and like catch everything. So that was a little bit of a bummer, but I know that's just me being very uncultured. So, but I did really like the episode. So I put it in that top 10 at number 10. Coming up at rank number 9, I actually really liked these episodes. I really like Hydra. I think Hydra is a super compelling organization. Really loved Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV show, because that battles Hydra quite a bit. And so I put for my rank 9 is what if Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper. I thought that was a really fun episode. And just and that's, I should say that's episode 205. And it was just a really, really good time. And you get to see a lot of Black Widow in that as well. And I love me some Black Widow. So I don't know. This was just a very fun episode. So I really liked it. Number 9 for me.
Number 9, I put What If the Watcher Broke His Oath? So this is actually the season 1 finale. And the reason I would say I rated it so low for being the climax and end of that season is the fact, I feel like I'm a broken record at this point. Watching Infinity Stone powered people fight is really frustrating, and especially people who actually are wielding the Infinity Stones. And I know in my head that their effectiveness in combat is completely dependent on their creativity and like their wit, because like half of the time like Thanos, when he uses the Power Stone, he is a brute. He doesn't use it with very much finesse. Like on the fight on Titan, what he does instead of delivering really precise, powerful blows, he's like, oh, I'm going to drop a moon on Iron Man. And we kind of see a lot of that with the fight of Ultron, where Ultron is not being clever with his use of the stones, whereas he could have. And it's hard to see someone with all 6 Infinity Stones not just snap people out of existence. It's like, that's in your ability to do, but the mental block is what stops things from being a 2-second fight. Like, because the explanation is that Ultron just didn't know he could do that. And it's like, but he's pretty smart.
But he's also a hyper intelligent AI being. Why wouldn't he?
And they address it a little bit in the episode where Ultron like kind of gets mad, where he's like, I've destroyed entire universes, but why won't you die? And that's solved a little bit by the fact that like Strange Supreme has given like these super powerful wards onto I guess this version of the Avengers. But it's like, but why is that stronger than the stones that literally created reality as we know it?
Yeah, so it makes Strange seem stronger than the Infinity Stones, which again, is he not? I mean, he takes a big role in the end of season 2 as well, which we'll talk about later. And so yeah, it's Infinity Stone powered creatures and characters are often inconsistent,
yes,
to say the least. Moving on to rank 8, I actually rated this episode a lot higher than you did. I really liked the episode where the Avengers assembled in 1602. I really liked this because I really liked the fantasy skin over the superheroes that we are used to seeing. I shouldn't even say fantasy skin, is because this is history. It's not fantasy, it's history. But I'm like, hey, there's witches and stuff. So it's basically fantasy.
The Avengers go to Ren Fair.
Essentially. And I really like that aesthetic. And because of that, I was like, yeah, this is awesome. I really liked Thor being king. I thought that was like pretty cool.
Yeah.
I liked this one. I thought it was just a little bit different, and I liked how they did that with What If.
For my rank 8, I think I had this. Yeah, I had this 1 point higher than you. You had mentioned a lot of things about why like Hydra is so compelling of a villain. Um, which is probably why, as a culture, we see the prevalence of so many movies where the Nazis are the bad guys because they're so objectively evil. They're so bad. And so it's really easy to get behind whoever is like, oh, we're fighting Nazis. It's like, okay, well, I'm rooting for you then. Kill them. Get them.
Yep. Kill them all.
So for rank 8, I put Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper. I thought it was really good. It definitely had some Winter Soldier vibes and definitely some like clear allusions to Winter Soldier because that's essentially what Steve is at that point, is a Winter Soldier.
All the other widows were super fun too.
Yes, I did love seeing all of the widows. Let's move on to rank 7.
So I liked this episode. My rank 7. I liked this episode way more than you did. Is Hela Found the Ten Rings. Again, being a little bit confused about the title, I actually still felt like
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this because we got to see Hela on a redemption arc, and I thought that was really fun. I also really like Hela's character. I think she's just an absolute badass, and the only reason she got killed was because Surtur basically was like, hey, I'm going to fulfill the Ragnarok prophecy, and you were at the wrong place, wrong time kind of a thing. And I really liked, I mean, I'm also very biased. She's got a cute attack wolf. I mean, who could say no to that big guy?
Fenris!
Yeah, Fenris is super cute. And I really liked that she got to work with the Ten Rings organization. I think that's a really badass organization. And so again, evil, they're sort of evil, sort of not. But those organizations, I'm just like, I think they're fascinating. So I put this one pretty high at rank 7.
Yeah. For rank 7, I put Quixote Reshaped the World. And probably for honestly a similar reason to the Nazis, is like looking back on early American history, and not just like the founding of the United States, but the actual history of different countries meddling in the Native American lands. It's really hard to come out and not be rooting for the natives, because like these people, like they come with greed and death and disease, and it's really not hard to paint them as villains. And in this case, like the Spanish conquistadors come in and they're just like, we are here to find the fountain of youth, and we are just going to kill anyone who stands in our way. And so you're like, it really establishes like a strong historical precedent as to like, okay, these are who you should be rooting for. And I'm like, get him. So I ranked Quixote Reshaped the World at rank 7.
Moving on to rank number 6. I really liked this episode, but the one where Ultron won. I love Age of Ultron. I thought Ultron was a really fun villain, and just he was born out of the hubris of the human mind. And I mean, that was a huge turning point for the MCU, was Ultron. And so the fact that he wins in this and gets the Infinity Stone and just goes on this like rampage over like that in the next episode was super, super fun. So my rank, well, that's going to be a little bit of a spoiler, but my ranks for those two are pretty closely interlocked. Or sorry, not if the next episode. I'm thinking of the wrong season finale. But my ranking for that is contrasted to the ranking of the season finale of What If the Watcher intervened, because again, you had an all-powerful omniscient being fighting something with all of the Infinity Stones. So I felt like it was not a good ending to that arc. But I really liked What If Ultron won. Sorry, there's a little bit of confusion there on my part.
Let's see. For rank 6, I put Killmonger Rescued Tony. I really liked this, and in a lot of ways, I just thought it was a really good spin-off of the very first Iron Man movie, which really started and kicked things off, because like when that movie came out, we had no idea Wakanda was a thing. I mean, those who read the comics obviously did and saw that that was an opportunity, but like I had no idea. So to see like basically Iron Man never get created. It was like, but this guy, he is he's the linchpin of the entire Infinity Saga, which is phases 1 through 3. Like, to him not even be a part of the picture is crazy, and then to get killed on top of that, I was like, whoa. But it also really hurt in a good way, I should say, when Killmonger double crosses the US government, lures in Black Panther, and kills him. Brutal, brutal in a good way.
Moving on to rank number 5. So, rank number 5, I put the season 2 finale of Strange Supreme Intervened, because this was a clash of just a bunch of different, like, crazy powerful characters. And honestly, the first, like, you see Captain Carter get kind of snagged at the end of her episode with Black Widow, and you're like, okay, when is she going to come back up? So she does. I just loved that whole fight sequence. I thought it was really well done and was just super, super cool. And I didn't like Strange Supreme all that much. So the fact that he turned out to be the bad guy, I was like, yeah, you get him. So I was really excited about that, because the guy who basically assimilates himself with the greater demons of that entire multiverse, I'm like, yeah, you are probably not a good guy. But he's like, I'm creating a new world. And you're like, no, you're trying to create a broken world where your love interest is not there. And you are doing some pretty horrible things for something you could have solved in therapy. So I really like that episode.
And which brings us to the sponsor of our episode, BetterHelp.
BetterHelp.
We're not sponsored by anyone.
Not actually sponsored.
But we could be. Oh gosh, what ranking are we on? Let's see. You just did rank 5. Thank you. I'm like jumping between 2 different lists. There's probably tons of mistakes on my spreadsheet, but oh well. At rank number 5, I put Earth Lost Its Mightiest Heroes, because I could not for the life of me figure out why they were all dying. I was like, what is happening? Like, it really had me on the edge of my seat, and I was like, I was like, wait, Iron Man just died. No, that was supposed to kill him. Why did he die? And then when Hulk exploded, I was like, I give up. I truly have no idea how this is happening. So, I mean, to really keep me on the edge of my seat, like, a lot of superhero movies, they're kind of predictable. So to have like 30 minutes of I'm like, what is happening? To just see like the original Ant-Man systematically demolish the Avengers, brutal. A level of brutality that I am totally here for.
All right, rank number 4 coming up. I started this one off with Captain Carter was the first Avenger. Very much just like a, hey, we're going to take one character, we're going to swap it out for another, and we're going to see what happens. I thought this was a great way to start the series. Episode 101 was really a favorite of mine. And Captain Carter makes a pretty cool Captain America, but also like Captain Britain. She's got the British flag on her shield. I'm like, what do we call you? But yeah, she's just Captain Carter. So I thought this was a really strong start to the series. So, and it hooked me on the first episode.
Yeah. Let's see. I very similarly, I put Captain Carter at pretty high. However, for rank 4, I did put What If Ultron won, because the moment Ultron figures out who the Watcher is, as soon as he goes, who said that? I kind of sat back in my seat. I was like, no. I was like, this is cool. Its cool factor was through the roof. And from there, I was like, okay, that is really what a being with all 6 Infinity Stones would look like, devastating multiple universes.
He does a good job.
Kicks the crap out of them. Okay, everyone, we are moving into our top 3. Nathan, hit us with, what did you put as your 3rd ranked favorite What If episode?
So this one actually is a huge difference between the two of us, because I believe, where did you put this one? I'm looking at green. You put this at rank 12. I put this at rank 3. And that is Iron Man crashed into Grandmaster. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was great. Again, I had the same like pod racing vibes. And I really like Tony Stark's character. I really like Iron Man and the things he's able to do, especially the origins of Iron Man, where he's like building these different things. And I just thought it was really, really cool. I really liked this episode. I really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the rewatch. So I put it at number 3.
My third ranked one, and I legitimately almost put this at my number one. If Captain Carter were the first Avenger, there's not really a single scene in this where I was not like, this is awesome. And it really like broke my heart to see like such an awesome character. And I really hope Captain Carter comes back to the big screen because she's awesome. Like it's real, like she's totally badass. And I think like a lot of female Marvel fans are really, really getting like probably love her. I love her. She's so cool. I'm like, and she's not this big dork that Steve Rogers is. So she's awesome. And like having Steve Rogers be in the Hydra Stomper, super cool. And like her fighting Cthulhu with a sword and shield, I'm like, this is everything I want out of an episode. It's so weird. And having Hydra as the villain, well, in Red Skull getting demolished.
But so good. Yep, that was a good one.
Really my only critique of that episode, I was like, maybe there are too many tentacles.
Or not enough.
Or not enough. Please take us to the next rank.
With that grossness, let's go into rank number 2. Andrew, what did you rank as number 2 in this lineup?
I put What If Strange Supreme intervened. So writing these down, I realized this morning I had not watched this episode. Like I was looking through and I was making my notes and I was looking at my prog, it shows like a little blue bar at the bottom. It's like, hey, you've watched this episode all the way through, or oh, you stopped halfway through. And I looked at this one and there was no blue bar. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I've watched this. I wonder why that blue bar reset. And then I watched it. And about 30 seconds in, I was like, yeah, I didn't watch this. I didn't watch this. But I was hooked, like to the point where I spent the first 10 minutes of this recording writing down my notes because I was just like enraptured with this episode. It's because it's this idea of like all of these super powered beings all in the same space, and it just turns into a bare knuckle brawl. And I was like, the cool factor through the roof. There's like 10 sets of Infinity Stones in that episode. They're everywhere.
It's pretty cool.
I absolutely loved it. The part where Killmonger gets yeeted out of his armor by Kilhori, I was like, bro, what are you doing? It comes back to the fact that like those who are using the stones are limited by their creativity and at some points their reaction time.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I put that one at rank 2.
I did really like that. Speaking of Killmonger rescues Tony Stark was my number 2 pick. I thought this was super compelling because I was like, in my brain, I was like, I don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy in this. Let's see what he's going to do. And he's just like, he messes stuff up. Like, this guy has an iron will. He's such a great villain. And he goes after what he wants. And he's pretty dang effective at it.
Yeah.
And he turns into an adversary throughout. Like they kind of have to watch their back later in the series because of him, because he's got so much influence, power, and he's a wild card. They don't know what he's going to do.
Totally.
So I loved that episode. Totally. Rank 2, Killmonger rescued Tony Stark. Now, in classic twin fashion, are you even surprised that we ranked the same episode as number 1?
No.
So rank 1, episode 105, we both said zombies? Question mark, exclamation point. Like, that's when I watched this episode, I was like, this is what I would have written if I was in charge of What If. I would have been like, hey, how can we incorporate zombies into this universe? And I think that about a lot of universes. I'm like, well, what if there were zombies? So the fact that they did it, I was like, I was like, you go. This is great. Go off, Kings. I love this episode. Ooh. I love like a good zombie superhero, because even Earth's mightiest heroes, they're like, doesn't matter if you get bit. Zombie Hulk, terrifying. Zombie Ant-Man, super scary.
Oh my gosh. So I don't know what is like our fascination with zombies and like where it started, but like if there's a zombie movie out there, I'm probably down for watching it. And maybe there was just a lot of zombie movies that were produced in kind of the formative years of our childhood and teenage years, because there's things like Shaun of the Dead, World War Z, I Am Legend, like all this different stuff. And then even more recently, there's that show on HBO Max, The Last of Us.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Phenomenal.
Which we reviewed earlier in this series.
Which
So
we
make sure you
reviewed,
guys
yeah.
go and watch that.
I need to rewatch that
Yeah.
because it's good.
It's good.
It's amazing. I would love to see. So when I was rewatching Zombies, so Zombies is one of the only episodes of What If that I have just like chosen to put on the TV just because. I'm just like, I want to watch this episode again. And so rewatching it was a breeze. It's really fun. Like Ant-Man having, or what's his actual name?
Scott Lang.
Scott Lang, thank you. Having Scott's head in the jar, honestly, shocked they didn't make a Futurama reference. Completely shocked.
Yeah.
I was like, that's Futurama right there. Head in the jar. So we've been recording for quite a while. We need to do some tiebreakers.
Okay, what do we have that's still there? Still tied.
Let's see. At the worst, so average score, we ranked Happy Hogan Saves Christmas as the worst episode of What If. Tied for the second worst, we have What If Thor Were an Only Child, What If Nebula Joined the Nova Corps, and What If Peter Quill attacked Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
So we have to choose between those three of what we think was the second worst.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all terrible. I don't even care what spots they get.
They're all terrible. I probably would put Peter Quill, then Nebula, then Thor.
Yeah, I agree. Considering we both said Peter Quill attacked Earth Mightiest Heroes as consistently bad, then yeah, I think it needs to be down there.
Let's see. And then we have another three-way tie where it's Avengers in 1602, The Watcher breaks his oath, and then Strange loses his heart and not his hands. This is for 14, 13, and 12.
Okay, so out of those three, my least favorite is probably Doctor Strange loses his heart. I feel like that one should be the lowest. I did like some of what you had to say about the Watcher broke his oath. So like maybe that goes up a little bit higher in those three. So that's my 2 cents.
And then I'll put the Avengers in 1602 as the highest ranked of those three. Let's see. We agreed on that one. We agreed on T'Challa as Star-Lord. So that was at 11. Hela Found the 10 Rings came out with an average score of 10. Then we have another three-way tie. I wish I would have surveyed our Patreon server to say, hey, give us a rank, and then I could have weighted this, and we probably would have had a very clear order of ranking. And maybe we might still do that. Let's see. Kihori Shaped the World, Captain Carter versus the Hydra Stomper, and Earth Lost Its Mightiest Heroes.
Ooh.
Earth Lost Its Mightiest Heroes has the largest point spread of those three. I ranked it at 5. You ranked it at 12. Everything else we ranked pretty dang close.
But they all average at 9?
They all average at 8.5.
8.5. Okay. Ew. This is a hard one. I feel like since Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper had the least spread, there's the most amount of agreement on that. So we give that the 7 spot. What do you think about that?
The Captain Carter one? So I ranked Captain Carter at 8 and you ranked it at 9.
So yeah, maybe it should get the 8 spot then.
I can do 8.
Not 7, sorry.
Let's see. I think Kihori Reshaped the World should get the 9th spot because you ranked it at 10 and I ranked it at 7.
Okay. Yep.
Which then gives Earth Lost Its Mightiest Heroes, which is the one that had the biggest spread, at 7. You gave it a 12 and I gave it a 5.
I gave it a 12, yeah. Maybe that was me being a little harsh.
We'll go ahead and put that at 7. From here, it's pretty clear we only have one more tie to break, which is for the second and third place spots. So tied for second and third, we have What If Strange intervened and What If Captain Carter was the first Avenger. Man, I don't know. So for if Captain Carter was the first Avenger, I gave it a 3, you gave it a 4. So to give this a 2 seems like a stretch. However, for What If Strange Supreme intervened, you gave it a 5 and I gave it a 2.
But I really liked it though. I feel like for me to give it a 5, it's like that's not a sequential drop down. That's like a it was really good, but I only I think here's what even though I think it's 5, I think it should be the number 2 spot between us two.
Okay. That settles it. In the number 1 spot, we have Zombies. Number 2, we have What If Strange Supreme intervened. Number 3 is Captain Carter. Number 4 is Killmonger rescues Tony. Number 5 is What If Ultron won. Number 6 is Tony Stark and the Grand Master. Number 7 is Earth loses its mightiest heroes. Number 8 is Captain Carter fights the Hydra Stomper. At number 9, we have Kahori reshapes the world. At number 10, we have Hela found the 10 rings. At number 11, What If T'Challa was Star-Lord. At number 12, we have What If the Watcher broke his oath. At number 13, we have What If Strange lost his heart and not his hands. At number 14, we have The Avengers in 1602. At number 15, we have What If Thor was an only child. At number 16, we have What If Nebula joined the Nova Corps. At number 17, we have What If Peter Quill attacked Earth. And at the very last spot, we have What If Happy Hogan saved Christmas.
Sorry, Happy. All right, guys. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. Please let us know how you guys thought about these episodes. We'd love to get some more data, kind of factor that in. We can even open up some polls about this as well. But we're really appreciative of every single one of you guys watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe so we can continue to grow our base. Make sure to support us on Patreon so we can do really some cool stuff. We really would like to get some more cool softwares and stuff so we can keep making cool stuff for you guys. Do some more giveaways, things like that. If you guys have any questions, make sure to shoot us an email at talkabouttatooine@gmail.com. If you have a question you want featured on air, we would actually love to make that a weekly segment of listener questions. Do all the things that you should do on YouTube and podcasts, Spotify, and all that fun stuff here, guys. And just make sure that you guys like this. Share it with a friend so that the algorithmic overlords, aka Ultron, will share this video into the feeds of other like-minded folks. And until next time, what if the twins had superpowers?